Hello my crafty friends, it's Terry. Thanks for stopping by today. Today we are going to be unboxing craft kit number 59, which is Cogs and Clocks. Now when this video airs, it's going to be the 20th of August, but as I'm on the Tonic content creator team, I'm actually filming this in May. So the video is going to follow the usual format. So I'm going to give you an overview of what's in the kit, talk about my ideas about the way that you can use the products in the kit, and then make several samples to give you some ideas and inspiration and a jumping off point. So here we go. Now obviously because it's May and I'm doing this so far in advance, I haven't got the sticker and I haven't got my kit doesn't come with the usual plastic wallet around the dies like yours will, but we'll have a look at the stamps and dies in a moment. Excuse any noise you can hear in the background, that's my husband, bless him, being lovely and doing some vacuuming. So I'm actually really excited because the makes that I'm producing today are going to be featured in the magazine, the August Tonic magazine. So super excited about that. For those of you that are regulars to my channel, you'll know that I've been working really hard on trying to build my brand over the last 18 months and working with various companies and just trying to promote the benefits of crafting on our health and well-being. You know, as someone who struggles with health conditions, like crafting is massively helpful to me, and every time I mention that in a video I always have people commenting how it helps them too, so yay for crafting. So let's first do my favorite part, which is looking at the colour scheme that we're going to be working with. So we've got, now again I haven't got the leaflet which tells me the colours, but because I am such a fan of Tonic cards and papers, I think I pretty much know them all. So I believe this top one is brick red, and then I think this is apricot, and then I think this is ocean teal. I think that is French blue. That is ginger pie. This, I can't remember what it's called, but it's gorgeous. It's craft cardstock and it's got like a rose gold floral pattern. It is so pretty. This is another one of my favourites. It's Sienna Treasure. So this one and the ginger pie are both from the Harvest Moon colour trend. The next one, I'm going to take a punt and say opera red. I could be wrong, but it's a high gloss mirror finish red, and it's not a really in your face bright red. It's more of a sort of a deeper red. And then I think this is the high gloss mirror rose gold card. So a lovely palette here of sort of rich reds and coppers, and then and a lighter, I mean this obviously sort of isn't copper but sort of goes with that kind of theme, and then some lovely turquoisey blues. So let's look at that in conjunction with the Nouveau and see what else we've got to work with. So dump it all out. Oh, they've been very generous this month. We've got for some full-size samples, we've got a full-size Crackle mousse in Water Nymph. Beautiful colour, how stunning is that? If you haven't used Crackle mousse before, you apply it and then when it dries it cracks and gives a really interesting effect. You can see that the colour palette to this completely matches the paper, as we would expect. We've got a lovely Glacier paste in Bronze Medal. So again, if you haven't used Glacier paste before, this is packed full of mica. So you can just rub it on with your finger or apply it with the blending sponges, and it'll give not only that lovely colour but also a real beautiful shine. We've got another mixed media product. We've got a shimmer powder in Maroon Spark. so it tends to give you like an idea of the kind of colours that we'll have in there, but it looks like it's sort of like reds and golds. And then we have a Nouveau Vintage drop, so that one dries with the matte finish, and that is in the colour, if I can find it, that is in the colour Bohemian Teal. I love teal. I really do love these teals and aquas, and I love these sort of goldy, bronzy type colours as well. So this is just going to be so much fun to play with, guys. I'm really excited. So let's shift all this out of the way and then take a good old look at our stamps and dies. So cogs and clocks. So pretty self-explanatory. Our stamp set, we've got a lovely little image of a clock, so that'd be nice and easy to colour up. Stamp and colour up, and then an hourglass. Wow, I don't think I've got an hourglass stamp. A gorgeous key, and then lots of really, a little cog, and lots of really little nice sentiments. So it's to show the versatility of how to use the kit. So sorry it's late, that's always handy. Time with you is time well spent. How sweet is that? One day at a time if someone's going through a rough time. Time to relax, happy retirement, where is the time gone? Time flies when you're having fun, and time to celebrate. So extremely versatile stamp set there. I'll start off with the cogs. So we've got a range of different cog dies here. Now if you're a fan of like steampunky, mixed media, cog type things, and like Tim Holtz's range of like ideology and stuff like that, you will immediately look at this and be like, wow, that's awesome, that's right up my street, I know exactly what to do. Now that's not actually my style. I like steampunk, but I'm not really, I wouldn't typically buy a stamp set with cogs in it. So, and I imagine that that's probably the case for a lot of you, which is why one of the reasons why I enjoy doing these videos so much is because it challenges me to think creatively and to help you, to give you ideas. So we've got a gorgeous frame here, and it hasn't got a cutting edge on the inside, so that will just be a frame with a centre. So that could be a lovely frame to put some things inside, like an hourglass, something else, a sentiment, etc. You could then build this up by adding extra cogs around the edge, so you could make it essentially a wreath, but instead of thinking about florals and nature, think of like cogs and sort of this kind of vibe. Now we've then got an inner die, which again gives this sort of like castle turret sort of outer edge, and then the middle doesn't have anything on. So if you cut that out and then you cut that out, you could raise that up on foam pads to give some nice dimension. There's also this one, which you could use in conjunction with that to give you again a panel, but with more detail cut out of it. You've got a sentiment die here, which looks like it maybe says good times. Yeah, good times or something like that, I think it says. I'll die cut that out for you so you can see what it says. Obviously various cogs, and then look at this gorgeous clock die. How stunning is that? I mean, that is like as big as my hand. That would be perfect for a small shaped card or a large very special tag. And then you've got all of these different nesting dies included. So that one is too big but could be used here. So you could use, if you just wanted this to be a border and you didn't want the middle bit, you could use it in conjunction with that and cut the center out. So you can start to see how, you know, you've got the two elements that are kind of separate, cogs and clocks. So you're kind of getting two die sets in one, but how they can be used together. Now we've got the elements, all the elements to make the workings of the clock. We've got the, what are they called? These little things that show you the time on the clock. I can't even think. Oh my gosh. Anyway, and we've got decorative corners, which again could be used in the corners of a card, or you could use them in the corners of the clock here. But there's a lot here. So straight away, I'm imagining a wreath, but with cogs. And a nice dimensional one, because again, if you're used to seeing my videos, you'll know that I'm a fan of dimension on my cards. I like to build up dimension and texture and interest. So I'm thinking of one card where I use this as a sort of wreath with lots of added elements with the cogs. I'm thinking of a tag for use with this, and then some other form of make. But I'll definitely be making use of this gorgeous Glacier paste, and in case you haven't used shimmer powders before, I will. I did it in the video. I did a demonstration a few videos back, but I will show you how to use the shimmer powder as well, in case you're not aware. So I'm going to go away, do some planning, and come back and start working on the first make with you. So see you back in a mo. Okay, my crafty friends, so I've planned out my first card. The sentiment die that I wasn't quite sure what it said says good times, and so I cut it out of a scrap of white cardstock, and because it's verso it doesn't have an edge, so I use the second smallest circle die to then cut that out, and it gives a nice little border. So I thought that that would look nice against a teal background, so the plan is to stick that onto there. I went for the predominantly sort of coppery and rose goldy type colours, so and then because I thought that the teal would look nice to complement, I then decided to use teal as the sort of matte for the scene. So I've cut this panel down to 5.5 inches square, and this is a 6-inch square tonic white card blank. So I used the Sienna Treasure speciality cardstock to cut out that beautiful large shape, and then I used the, I think it's rose platinum, and I did cut that out because obviously I knew I was going to be using that and I didn't want to waste the cardstock. So I mean, that's lovely and could be used on its own to have something stamped onto it, or you know, to be used in like layered up in another card, or I can use that to cut other things out of. So that's what that looks like. And then I've cut out a variety of the mini cogs in the apricot, but they're not going to stay apricot. I've cut them out in the apricot so that I can then use the Glacier paste on top. The red is going to stay red, that brick red, and then I stamped out where has the time gone. So I thought this would be a lovely sort of card, either a birthday card or a card, you know, sending to someone that you haven't seen in a while, you know, so like good times, and then like a sub sentiment down here, where has the time gone. So I'm going to cut this out and then stick it onto some of the brick red cardstock, and then put that down there. So that's the sort of plan for the card. I'm also going to distress the edges of this because it's sort of to do with like time and things like that, and I think it'll just look nice with the edges distressed. I was debating as to whether to also colour this in with the Glacier paste, but I think because of the white card blank and because I'm using white here, it'll be a nice balance, and it'll give more contrast against the teal if I leave it white. So that's the reasoning for all of that. So what I'm going to do, so obviously I'm going to do the sticking down and all that sort of stuff off camera, and then just show you the finished card at the end. I also thought, actually, so I may or may not do this, I'll see, that I might use the Glacier paste just around the edges, so that you can see a bit of the Glacier paste between the teal card panel and the white of the actual card blank. But I've pulled out one of my media mats. Obviously there's so many that you can use, you don't need a special media mat. And what I'm now going to do is give these some beautiful colour using the Glacier paste, and just show you how that's done. So I'm using my sort of go-to pokey tool that I use for everything. It's only a cheap little pokey tool, but I really do use it like all of the time. And I've recently fell in love with these new Nouveau stamping chamois. They're so good for just keeping your stamps clean. And then we're gonna use the blending sponges included in the kit to colour up the cogs and make them all shimmery and pretty. So you can apply it as heavily or as lightly as you want to, depending on what you want the effect to be. You can see that it's gold, but it's also got red undertones. Can you see that there? So it looks really nice, actually, mixed in with the apricot, because it looks like that's sort of like a pinkish colour. So I really like that, and I like that sort of two-tone look. Can you see there where it's like, where there's more of the Glacier paste, it's like really bright gold, whereas where there's less of it, it's more of like a reddish. In fact, that looks like a paler version of the brick red. And I'm just using it off the lid here, so we haven't even got down to the main body of the pot. And it's very easy to clean up. You can just wipe it up with a cloth with some water on, or a baby wipe. Very easy to clean up, but it just does give this beautiful shimmery effect. I mean, you can see that the gold mica flakes are sort of sticking to the media mat there. But I'm really liking the look of these cogs, and I like the fact that it's a bit uneven in terms of the coverage. It's personal preference. You can have even coverage if you want, or you can leave it uneven. Obviously it's great, and one of the millions of great things about crafting is it can be whatever you want it to be. And if you're more of a mixed media person than I am, you might even think of other things as well, you know, with your mixed media brains. But if you're sort of an occasional dipping your toes into the water of mixed media card maker or crafter like I am, then hopefully this will be helpful for you in giving you some tips on how to use the Glacier paste. So I am going to put that aside to dry and continue on with making my card. I'm then going to come back and with the plan for the next make, and then I'm going to share all of the 3 makes at the end together. So I'll see you in a moment when I have planned my next make. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to use the shimmer powder included in the kit. So I've got what I call my splatter box, which is what I use when I want to use any shimmer sprays or powders or anything messy like that. And I've also got just an inexpensive spray bottle of water that I keep handy in my craft room. So usually I just puff the shimmer powder straight on, but I think this time I'm going to spray a bit of water on it first, just to see if that makes any difference. Someone mentioned in one of my previous videos that that's what they normally do, so I thought, oh, let's have a try and do it that way. So there's no right or wrong with this. You just put on as much or as little as you want. The more you put on, the stronger the effect of the shimmer will be. The less you put on, the more you will see the individual colours as they separate. So obviously I've sprayed a lot onto this bit because I'd put a lot of powder there. So I'm just going to grab my handy dandy kitchen roll that I always keep handy in my craft room because it's just so darn helpful for messy techniques. And just to aid with the drying, I'm just going to mop up some of this excess shimmer water spray powder. Now the last time I did this and I ended up with a big patch like that, I was slightly concerned that it wouldn't turn out very well, but it actually turned out amazing. So I am going to add a little bit more. I've cut this panel to roughly 5 by 7 inches. Sorry, I want a few little puffs, that's it. Roughly 5 by 7 inches, just in case I wanted to use it as a background for a 5 by 7 panel, or cut it down for smaller projects. So that is how simple it is. Obviously this is just your standard Craft Perfect. This isn't watercolour cards. So it will look like a hot mess, and you know, you might think, oh my gosh, I've ruined it and it's never going to dry, but it does. Just leave it overnight and the next day you'll end up with a masterpiece that can never be recreated, because no two pieces like this are ever the same. So I'll put that aside and then sort of plan out what I'm going to do with that. I did add a lot of the Glacier paste onto the card panel for the first card. So next I'm going, because obviously I've got to wait for this to dry to see how I'm going to use it in my second make, I'm now going to plan out the card involving the clock. So I shall see you back in a mo with that. Okay, so my next make is going to be focused on the clock. It's extremely clever. So what we have here is our clock die. So it cuts out the shape of the clock, and we've got this lovely dotted detail here. And there's no cutting line here, so this will all be cardstock, so it'll be fully cut out. And then inside that we've got these two corner elements, and we can choose to use either of these to go in the bottom corners there. Then there's a circle die that fits perfectly here. There's a larger one as well, but this size one, so the largest, just for comparison, is like this. So if you didn't want to use the corners, you could use the larger one, but I think that this one is probably designed to be used with this. And this circular die here, if you look very closely, you'll see that there's the time in Roman numerals. So there is the X and the 2 lines, so 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, etc. So if you use these two dies together, you will get, that's the cutting edge. This is verso, so this will cut into that, and that's verso, so this will have nothing in the center. So you can cut another panel of this. You can cut, so you can use this die to cut another circle of cardstock to then place the circle of cardstock you've created with the numbers on top and then attach your clock hands. So there's these two separate clock hands, and then there are also smaller clock hands there as well, so you can choose to use one or both of them, but this is what I'm going to create now. But I just think it's fantastic the way that it's been designed. It's just gorgeous, and it's a nice size as well. Just to give you the dimensions, it's in the widest points, it's around 4 inches wide by around 4 inches. Yeah, so it's around 4 inches square. So again, on like a 5-inch square or a 6-inch square card, or a maybe an A6 card, that would look really nice, and have room for some of the lovely sentiments. So I'm going to get about die cutting and choosing my colour scheme for this make, and then I will be back shortly with my progress. Okay, so for the card using the clock, I used the clock die and the this gorgeous foiled craft card to cut out the clock shape, and then I used one of the intricate verso dies to cut into the card there, and then cut the corners of the I think it's the opera red cardstock, and stuck that behind, and I used the same for the clock handles. I used the platinum rose gold for the numbers of the clock face, and then I used ginger pie as a circle behind there, and just for this bottom bit as well. So I just literally just cut a little strip of card, put that on the die and ran it through the die cutting machine, and I am going to mat that onto some of the turquoise card and then onto a card blank, but I've done made the card panel a bit fancy, so you'll get to see that in a moment when that's finished. And then my panel that I made using the shimmer powder ended up looking like this. So I also added some of the Glacier paste. I just watered it down with a tad bit of water and splattered that on with a paintbrush, and this is what the panel looked like. And I really like this center portion. It looks like a sort of explosion of fireworks, so I decided that would look really nice. So I'm going to make a card that's kind of similar to the first one in that it's using the cogs, but I'm going to do them in several different ways. So I'm going to cut this panel out, and then I've cut a panel of the this Sienna Treasure as well, so I'm going to cut the same panel out of that, and I think I'm just going to layer some different colours of these up, and then yeah, sort of that's going to form the basis of my third make. So I shall carry on with those, and then I'll be back in a moment to show you all 3 completed makes. Okay, my crafty friends, so I've now completed all 3 cards. So this first one, I had originally put the Glacier paste directly onto the front of the card panel, but it actually sort of made it bow a bit because I applied it really thickly. So I then cut off the front of the card panel, trimmed it down, and then used it as a mat for this panel. So it's turned out much better, and I just absolutely love the sparkle in this Glacier paste. Also, it's like the sparkle is like a bronzy goldy colour, but the background colour is like a deep red, which is like pretty much the same as the fired brick. So I just really have had the time of my life using this Glacier paste. These 3 cogs and these 2 cogs, which I cut up in half to make them stretch further. I made those from the apricot cardstock. So you can see that you can actually apply the paste onto any coloured card that you want. I mean, to look at that, I would think maybe it had been applied to red card, but no, it was the apricot. I felt that the sentiment "good times" was slightly difficult to read, so I just went over it with a gold sparkle pen. But other than that, I mean, I think it's a beautiful sentiment. And then obviously, because I'd used white there and a white card blank, I decided to stamp the sentiment, like a sub-sentiment really, onto white cardstock. And because I'd only used the fired brick once, I then backed the sub-sentiment onto that. So that's a good way to sort of achieve balance in your makes, really. You don't really want just one colour appearing in something, try and have it in several places. And again, even though the colour of the Nouveau drops is pretty much exactly the same as the colour I used for this distress panel, it still looks nice for that sort of tone on tone effect, and it looks lovely on the high gloss mirror card as well. So that is card 1. For the second card, I wanted to use the clock, and I love this foiled craft card, so that was an easy choice for this. I then used the ginger pie to cut out a portion of the bottom of the clock and a circle there. And then the high gloss, I think it's the rose platinum mirror card to make the clock face. And I then used the opera red, I think it is, the high gloss red mirror card for the clock handles. And so we get 2 different ones of these little cut-in verso dies. So I chose this one for some decorative elements there. And again, made sure that those colours were used more than once. And I used I wanted it to be a retirement card, because I thought like sort of traditionally, like you would get like a clock or a watch or something for like a certain amount of years of service in a company. So that's what sort of inspired this card really. So I've done it as a happy retirement, and I made use of some of the other stamps as well, time to relax, and then I backed this sentiment in the rose platinum card. So again, that's card 2. And then the third card, wow, did I go to town on this. So essentially with these 3 makes, I have used pretty much all of the dies in the kit. I've used all of the Nouveau, and I've used every colour of cardstock. And a lot of that is on this one card. So that beautiful background panel that I created using the shimmer powder and then the added like splatters of the Glacier paste, I chose the portion of the panel which was like fireworks exploding, because I just thought it looked beautiful. And then I used 2 of the dies to create this little sort of frame to frame this lovely firework effect. I used this lovely chain. I cut this 4 times and stuck it around, but underneath that you can see the beautiful water nymph crackle mousse, which I applied fairly thinly, a little bit thicker in some areas than others, and you can see where it's applied really thinly, it doesn't really crackle. I then used the other of the 2 decorative panels to use it in the corners of this matte layer. So again, that's just another way to stretch the kit really. It doesn't have to be used, obviously I think it was designed to be used in the clock, but because of the shape of it, you can use it on anything square, so it's perfect for mats and layers. I then used the large cog die and cut that out multiple times. So we've got the fired brick, the sienna treasure, I've done a bit of a drop shadow here with the opera red behind the patterned card that I created, and it's all up on foam pads, so it's really dimensional. So and I just thought, I love this sentiment, time with you is time well spent. And a little tip, because of all of the media underneath it, I did stamp this several times, but I also went over it with an archival ink pen because the black wasn't quite popping enough for my liking. So yeah, I don't even know which is my favourite. Like, I really like all of them. I think they're all quite different. So if I zoom out a bit so you can see all 3 cards together. So here are all of the 3 cards all together. What do you think? Do you have a favourite? I don't know if I can choose. It might be this one. Or it might be that one. I'm not quite sure. I think they're all very different from each other, and I think, you know, that just goes to show that it's a very versatile kit. And also, just to re-emphasise, I would not really class myself as a heavily mixed media influenced card maker and paper crafter. I do love to play with different mediums, but it's not like a massive part of my sort of my crafting repertoire. I'd say I'm more of a sort of clean and simple and elegant sort of crafter, but I do have a passion for splatter, and I do love the effects of mousses and pastes and things through stencils and layering die cuts, etc. So this kit is just so versatile. It's kind of like, to me, it's like it's 2 kits, because the clock and, like, you know, this like pocket watch sort of chain, it's like that could be a kit by itself, as could the cogs. So I think the fact that we've got the whole kit as cogs and clocks, we're getting some real sort of bang for your buck with this kit. And like, I just love all the sentiments as well. There's such a nice variety of sentiments suitable for cards for all occasions. So that brings me to the end of this video. I really hope you've enjoyed it. Please let me know which is your favourite card, if you've picked up any tips, anything like that. As always, I just love to interact with you in the comment section, so just leave any questions. If I haven't explained anything enough for you, just ask, and I'll endeavour to do so. And I will be back with you soon for some more crafty goodness and inspiration. Bye for now.